Well, hello everyone. Thank you for being here, and this is a big thank you to Level Virtual to allow me to animate this Mincer Masterclass. I'm very honored to be here to this historical event, and a big congratulations to Level Virtual for this titan work to raise all of this from the ground in 3 weeks. That's absolutely moving and thrilling. So I'm very glad to be here. Let's begin. This is me. Hello, my name is Maelys and I am a researcher at Minsar. I'm also doing a PhD about XR technologies and cultural heritage, and I'm a digital VR AR artist. So I've been working with these technologies for quite a couple of years now. In Minsar, I'm especially in charge of accompanying, Minsar users, creating their projects and all of these things. So Minsar has been created by Opuscope, which is a Paris-based startup, which was founded in February 2016. And we are about a little more over 25 employees right now. So in this presentation, I'd like to proceed as follows. So first, I will propose a little introduction about the ecosystem of XR today, a really quick introduction so that you can really understand where Minsar gets into this ecosystem and what kind of answer we try to give to some specific aspects. Then I will present you the Minsar portal and the website, which are basically where you will be managing all your projects, your Minsar projects. All right. Then we will get into the core of it because I will teach you how to create an XR experience in Minsar Studio. So for now, I'm going to show you the AR part, but the principle will be exactly the same in VR, which will be supported in Minsar very soon. And in the end, I will finish by teaching you how to publish and share your experience. So I propose to get to it. So the first thing I'd like to discuss is more of an observation. Well, XR technologies today, as many of you might have noticed, are far from being common. It's not used by a lot of people, even VR, for which there exists already a couple of headsets. But XR technologies, and especially VR, are still seen as a hobby for gamers or for technical people, so it's still intimidating. So there's a real crucial question right here. How can we democratize these XR technologies and make them from futuristic technology to a real disruptive technology in the literal sense of the word, which is when a technology has a real impact on the daily lives of people, all right? So I see three particular ways to achieve this status. So the first way is that we need cheaper, lighter, and smaller headsets, okay? In this perspective, Oculus Quest and Unreal glasses, which are respectively a VR and AR device, were released very recently. And for me, these two devices are very interesting because they open a real new way in the market of devices. First, because they are effectively much less expensive than current headsets like HTC Vive, for example. And just to give you an element of comparison, when the HoloLens first was released a couple of years ago, its pricing was about $3,000. So it's really not something that you and me can buy. So these two devices are really interesting for this reason. First, because they are relatively cheap for for the performance they offer, because they don't go over $500, which is a huge progress. And secondly, they are very easy to use. You can just put them onto your head and you can just start playing. For example, in comparison, when you use a HTC Vive, you have to tether it to your computer. Your computer has to be powerful, and you have to install captors in your room and all this sort of thing. So it's kind of it can get a little bit tricky. So right here, it's much less intimidating because it's just, hey, I want to play something, and I just put the headset on my head and I can explore VR. So I really think these two devices opened a way for next devices, and I really think that constructors have to follow it. So the second reason I see, the second way I see, is to open more VR AR rooms and events and encourage people to use them. So like video games was popularized by arcades, or television was popularized by cinema, I'm really certain that XR technologies will eventually get to people's homes, but after these people have been trained to it and have been, familiarized with it. So what is good is that a lot of these rooms have been opening, especially in Paris during the last months. So it's really cool. It's getting on the ways, but we really have to, multiply these initiatives and encourage people to use them. And the third problem I see is really about pipeline of creation and sharing of XR experiences, which is kind of complex still. As a VR AR artist and programmer, I personally have a minimum technical background, but I had to be trained to it 3 years. So you have to have a minimum technical background. You know how to program and know how to use complex engines such as Unreal Engine and Unity. Well, although Unity might seem a little bit more accessible than Unreal, but that depends on the point of view. I will not get into that debate right now. So basically, you can use these engines today to make your experience immersively in VR, but most of the time it's quite limited and it's not that intuitive. Plus, you still have to work through these engines, and there is absolutely nothing to create immersive AR through a headset. All right. Then you have to iterate constantly between your PC and your device to basically see what you're doing. And there is also a last problem, which is it's very hard to distribute. When you create your VR or AR app, you still have to build it, and then you have to share it on platforms and all, which can be a little bit difficult because technically, for example, if you buy an Oculus, well, you might not be able to access the apps that you bought on Steam, which is really a great setback. So basically, it is really to this problem of the complex pipeline that Minsar tries to answer. It's really the core of Minsar project to ease the pipeline of creation and sharing XR experiences. So what is Minsar? So Minsar is a code-free platform that allows creative professionals to build, distribute, and collaborate on AR/VR experiences directly through their 3D headsets, tablet, or smartphone. So at the beginning, Minsar was created to help museums and cultural heritage institutions to, to renew their look and their experiences, to attract more people, younger people, and to engage them in stronger experiences. But through the years, as you can imagine, Minsar has come to be used by lots of different sectors because, in fact, Minsar is really made for creative people who want to create XR experience without coding. So it applies to a very large number of situations: industry, real estate, health, education, architecture, and so on. So Mincer is also cross-platform, as I was saying before. It will eventually work on all XR devices available on the market, and we are already compatible with HoloLens, Magic Leap, iOS, Android, and Oculus Quest. And the whole point of Minsar is not to create content per se, but it's to really create scenographies with pre-existing content that you will be importing from a certain number of providers that you can see over there. So right now we are mostly working with Google Drive, Dropbox, and Sketchfab. So I propose to get to the core of it by starting to present you the website. So just wait a minute, I'm going to try to show you this website. Okay, so this is the Mincer website. Come on, please don't show my personal life. First, so this is Minsar website. Okay, I'm going to try to go very slowly because there is big lag. So first of all, you have to create an account. So to do that, you can go on the top right corner right here. You can either go to get started or sign in. So I'll go to sign in. So just look out to see the process. Come on. Okay, so when you get on Minsar, want to create your account, you have this panel here. So you just have to enter your email. So I just enter my email. When you create an account, you just have to enter your email, and if the system doesn't recognize you, it will automatically create an account. So I'm just connecting. And so when you connect, you have your dashboard, which is basically Minsar portal. It is really here where you will actually manage all your projects. All right. So let's get a look a little bit at this page. So right on the top, you have the dashboard. Okay. You can access your projects right here or right here. As you can see under app integrations, I have connected to my Google Drive, my Dropbox, and my Sketchfab. But obviously, when you create an account, you will first have to link them by clicking on the little plus here. Okay. Then under help, under the help panel, you can really get, well, basically some help. So first, I will show you. Before showing you that, I'm going to show you this. So this is the link where you can connect to our Slack community, Minsar Insiders, where you can, ask questions, share with the community. It's really a moment of regroupment with our community. And here, of course, it's to send us an email. And as I'm in charge of accompanying users, basically this message will certainly go to me. So you also have this dictionary right here. So I'm going to show you. This is the link to basically our user guide. So our user guide really shows you about anything you need to know about Mincer. So you have really basic information, as how to get started, the platforms that support AR and XR, okay? Sorry. And you have more technical aspects. For example, if I go to create, I navigate to scene entities and assets. You have all the information about the formats, the technicalities that you need to for your elements to be imported in Mincer, okay? And if you want to go even further into the technical, I have created a certain number of tutorials right here that allow you to do very technical things. For example, right now we support only two 3D formats, which are GLTF or GLB, which is the same thing, and OBJ5. So for example, if you have a FBX, you will need to convert it first. So you have to go right here, convert GLTF, and here you have the choice between an automatic procedure that I'm describing, which is basically a tool that I have developed so that you can do this automatically. But if you want to learn it by hand, I also show you through the entire process under Blender 2.8 or Blender 2.79. So I've created a lot of tutorials this way, so you can, of course, have a look in the. So getting back to the portal, here you have the subscription part. So it's all about, your plans or pre-plans and these sort of things. So basically about the pricing, I will just make a quick word, but there is our beloved sales director here in the room, Edmond Morin. So don't hesitate having a little chat with them if you want to know more about this. So basically, Mincer is free in creation. Okay, you can create whatever you like, and then there is a free limited plan for distribution, and then you start paying depending on the number of views or the type of features you want, this sort of things. All right. And then we have here the pairing code, which will allow you to connect to Mincer. All right, so this is a perfect transition. So let's go to Mincer. So here I am going to start sharing a video. All right, because unfortunately I cannot do the demo live because I have an Android, and my Android really has a bad reception, so it's going to be hellish to show you that. So I prepared a video. So I'm going to try to go slowly because there is a lot of lag, but hopefully you will understand. So first of all, you have obviously to go to your app store, on your device, and to go find Minsar Studio. All right, so I'm going to fast forward a little. Okay, so you click on Minsar Studio and install it. All right. So first of all, if you don't see this in your app store, it means that unfortunately your device is not compatible. So this has unfortunately nothing to do with Minsar. It's because your phone is not equipped with the processor that can support XR. All right. But I reassure you, most most recent smartphones today support AR and VR. Okay, so the first thing when you open Minsar, you have to allow the use of the camera and of the notifications. I'm sorry, there's a big lag. Okay, so you authorize all that, okay? And the first screen that you are gonna see is this one, okay? So basically you have to put in the signing code that I showed you on the portal. So I'm going to go back on the portal. There is Mikita in the screen. Hello. So you see, I'm scrolling to the end of the page. I click request a code. So you didn't see, but it displayed a code. Okay. So I just connect with the code, and boom, I'm connected. Okay. So yeah, this part here shows you you saw projects automatically saved. You don't have to basically worry about saving your projects, okay? It's always done automatically. So even if it crashes, you can always find your work, okay? So let's take a look at this menu right here. This is Minsar menu. This is technically how you will create your experience. So first you have your project, of course. You also have open project to, well, self-explanatory, get to your existing projects, and you can sign up, all right? So I'm just gonna click on new project right here, and I'm going to try to fast forward a little. Come on, don't die on me. Okay, so you can see here this little pin right here. When you create a project, you will see that pin, and you can see that while I'm moving around, it moves with me. So technically, this is what we call the simple anchor, okay? This is the point in space to which all your elements will be attached, okay? And to fix it, you just have to choose, where you want to put it, for example, on the table, and you have to tap on the screen once to place it so that it doesn't move anymore. Okay, and if you have, so you see I'm moving around and it's not moving anymore, okay? So if you have misplaced it and want to reset the placement, you just have to go down here in anchor. Come on. Okay, you go to gaze placement right here, and it will allow you, see, to reset the place. So you can again place it wherever you want, and tap on the screen once to fix it. Okay. So now let's take a look at the creation mode. We can start creating with this menu right here once you have placed your anchors. So I'm gonna just show you very quickly the different features before getting into more detail in them. So first here you have the import asset, which is the core of Minsar, okay, which is basically to import your assets, as I was explaining. So I will get into that a little bit later. Right now we can play, with some geometric shapes to, start prototyping or blocking out your scene. It's really some quick loading objects that you can already use and create text. But for now, the text are really minimal, okay? In the upcoming versions, we will have much more editorialization options with much more choice in the control of the text, okay? So let's take a look at the shapes. So just, oh my God, there's a huge lag. I'm going to fast forward a little. Okay, so you see here I've clicked on create shape and I can choose what I want to put. So for example, let's put a nice Oops, sorry about that. So, okay, so as you can see, when I import an element, exactly the same way as you had to place your anchor here, you have to tap on the screen to place it wherever you want, so that it stops moving, actually. So here, it also gives me the possibility, the opportunity to talk about the basics of manipulation of Minsar on a 2D screen, okay? So I hope it will be fluid enough. So basically, first, if you want to scale it up or down, you have to do a basic pinch and zoom, okay? It's gonna happen right now. Okay, I don't know if you can see it. Yeah, okay. You can see my fingers right here doing a pinch and zoom. If you want to rotate it, you have basically to put 2 fingers on the screen and circle like that. All right. I'm sorry, the lag is not makes it not very clear. Then if you want to move your sphere up, you have to put 2 fingers on the screen. Well, selecting, of course, your element. Then you put 2 fingers on your screen and you move up like this, okay? Because if you put 1 finger, as I'm doing right now, it will push the object into the distance, like this. So I'm sorry, there's a lot of lag. Okay. So if you can see here that there's a little artifact, a graphic artifact. So this is technically because Minsar is always calculating your environment in real time. Okay, it's really scanning your environment to understand it and understand that, for example, here there is a surface. So here, basically, it means that my sphere is colliding with the wall. All right. So in the next versions, it will be much easier to see that because when your element will be behind a surface, the shader will change. All right. So it's really for this particular reason that in 2D, of course, we don't have this problem when you use Minsar on immersive headsets, but when you use Minsar on a 2D screen, you really don't hesitate to move around your object to really understand where you have put it. Okay, I'm going just to try to fast forward the video a little. Okay. Okay, so I don't know if you see this, but I'm really moving around and leaning forward to really see that the sphere is on the table. I'm really sorry for the jagged shadows. This is really a small issue. Don't worry. On iOS, the shadows are really smooth. It's just a little bug that will be fixed on Android next week. So this is for the basic manipulation. So there are a couple of things that you can do with this sphere now. So you select the sphere. Come on, please select the sphere. Okay. And here you have a certain number of features, okay, you can do on the sphere. So you can, for example, go to color, to change the color. Okay. All right. And you also have some basic options to transform your element. So it's really basic, all right, because Minsar is not a modeling software, but it allows you to basically distort your shape a little to, correspond better to what you want to do as a prototyping process. Okay, so here I'm just also gonna show you something. Now that I have an element next to my anchor, I have to show you that if you want to move the entire scene, you have to click on your anchor, but don't release your click and move the entire thing around, all right? Because, okay, see, I'm moving the anchor and the entire scene is moving. Because if you just select the anchor and move the anchor independently, it will change the reference between the anchor and the scene, okay? The distance between the two will change. So I'm sorry, the lag is making not this very clear, but you see I've moved the anchor right now, and if I move the entire scene up, the distance now has changed, okay? So just be careful about that. Okay, so now we are going to see how to create a text. Okay, sorry, I can't fast forward too much. Okay, so you just have to click on create text block right here. And you have your text block that you can basically scale and move as you want. And you have all the options under format right here. So basically, I'm gonna be writing something. Okay. And I can change the color. I can change the format, about anything you like, actually. But again, this is very minimal for now. We will have much better text very soon. Okay, just checking my notes. All right, so now I want to clean my scene, okay, but I don't want to bother selecting everything individually, then delete it, so I can use multi-selection. So to do that, you just have to long select one of your objects. It means tapping a long time on one object. I'm gonna see the trace of my finger right there, and you see I've multi-selection enabled. There's my long click right here, and now I can select the other element and delete the two. And if I want to disable the multi-selection, I just have to do another long tap on the screen. Okay, sorry, you didn't see it because it was too short and the lag doesn't permit that, but well, anyway. So now let's go. I went now into import asset, okay? So here is the asset taker to which you can find your object. So technically, you see I have connected here my three providers. So for now, we have a slight bug on Sketchfab that prevents you from loading a Sketchfab asset, but it will be fixed in the next version next week. So you can basically import anything you like, 3D, sounds, images, soon 360 videos, well, any kind of media, videos, and so on. So here I can either navigate into the folders, or I can directly search for my asset. That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go fetch our fantastic flamingo. So what you can see here is this little icon here that shows you that it is a 3D asset, okay? And as you can see, this is a GLD asset. So personally, I really love working with GLD because it's a really convenient and powerful format. So it is the same thing as GLTF, it's just a different encoding. But it is the second format that we support right here in Minsar with OBJ. Okay, so I'm just going to click on it and import it. So basically, when you load a 3D asset, you have to be a little bit patient, depending on your connection and all of these sort of things, especially if the model is heavy or has a high texture. But don't worry, it's worth it. So just be patient sometimes when your model is loading. So I have my model right here. Okay, so I just can put it whenever I like on my table, for example. And now I can keep creating by going into import asset and import other elements. So, okay, I'm just moving it around. Okay, I'm going to fast forward a little. So here I'm looking for another asset, which is technically a PNG image. So we support PNG and JPEG images. But I like working with PNGs because they have an alpha channel that you can use to do very interesting things I'm going to show you. So now I have my image, you know, and if I want to delete the background, I can just go to I select my palm tree, go to backside color right here, and you have a panel of colors. So yeah, just a little thing besides, we will have a color wheel very soon. For now, the colors are quite limited, but it will change. So now, if I select my palm tree, go to backside color, you see I can click on none right here, and it deletes the background. All right, and I can put my palm tree wherever I want. I can also duplicate it. If I just select my asset and go to duplicate right there. So it's going to duplicate it in a moment. There you go. So I can just install my scene, you know, So again, I'm trying to move around to really have some perspective on what I'm doing, basically. And now I'm going to show you how to import a video, okay? So it's really the same principle, but here I'm gonna make a little stop on this. When you import a video, you have the choice between importing a flat or a volumetric video. So a flat video is technically a 2D classic video, all right? A volumetric video is a 3D video in which you can move, for example. To tell you how it's done, it's like, you know, a scanned 3D object. When you do a scan, one of the techniques is photogrammetry. So you take a lot of pictures of your model and then it reconstitutes an object. Well, volumetric video is basically the same thing, but for each frame of a movement. Okay, so it creates a scanned 3D video. So we support that too. So for here, I'm just gonna hit flat because my video of flamingos is flat. So once my video is loaded, I can again put it wherever I want. You have the player here where you can test it. You can change the sound, move backwards, or make it loop. Okay, so here I'm gonna introduce you to a very important part of Minsar, which are actions and triggers. So basically, it's really to give your experience, to make your experience dynamic or interactive. So basically, when you put a video in your experience, well, obviously, you expect your visitor to be able to read it, right? So to do that, first you need to put a play toggle action. So to do that, you just have to select your video, and under the menu right here, I'm just going to back forward a little. Okay, under the menu here, you have actions. So if you click on action, you have the play toggle here. So this is the first thing you need. So as you can see, I have put the play toggle right here. So basically, this shows that when the visitor opens the experience, the video will start playing automatically. And to check that, I can click on the menu right here to put it down so I can get into preview mode and see exactly what the visitor will see. So I sure hope that you will see the video right here, but if not, please believe me, because it's playing right now. You can see the water moving, all right? But I might want the visitor to decide when they want the video to play. And basically, this is a trigger because I want the visitor to be able to do something that will trigger the playing of the video. So to do that, I just click on the action right here and then go to trigger right here. Okay. Okay. So here, you know, we have for now 5 triggers, but next week in the next version, we will have a lot more triggers, for example, zone triggers or proximity triggers. So for now, we have the tap, we have hover. Well, yeah, obviously hover is really for immersive headsets. You know, it's really like my ray. It's when your controller makes a ray cast and hits an element. You have the in-view trigger, enter view, or exit view. All right. So for this presentation, I'm just going to show you the tap trigger that I personally use a lot in my experiences. So I just hit tap. Okay, whenever you like. Okay. And here you can see on the right part of the screen, there's a hierarchy of the order you have just given Mincer. So literally, this means on this video right here, there's a trigger that says that when the visitor taps on this element will play. All right. This is really the visual organogram of what's happening. Okay. So to test it again, I'm going to go into the preview mode by dropping the menu down. All right. You just have to tap on it once. And again, I think you are going to have to believe me, but I approach the video, it's not playing, and when I tap on it, it starts playing. So I'm really sorry, but the flow is too too slow to show you that, but please believe me. All right. So just checking. Okay. So this is for the videos, but there's also another action that I particularly use a lot with PNG images. You know, when you want to create an experience, but you want to be absolutely sure that your visitors will be able to open them, you know, despite a low connection or anything, you might not want to use 3D objects, 3D heavy objects. So to do something dynamic and cool, you can use PNG images and put an action on it that will force the element to always face the visitor, giving the illusion that it's not an image. Actually, it gives a kind of realistic illusion. So to do that, I just click on my my image. Okay, I go to actions again and hit face visitor. All right, so it's right here, and here you can see, well, no, you cannot see, but I'm telling you that now the palm tree is always facing me. Okay, but there again, I can decide to make sure that it is the visitor that will do something that will trigger the face me action. So to do that, I will do exactly the same thing. I click on the face visitor right here. Okay, I'm just going to describe it to you because the flow is really too slow. Uh, I click on the action right here, and I go to trigger again. I go to tap. Here I have my tap, and in the preview mode, when when I first go by my palm tree, it doesn't follow me, but when I tap on it, boom, it faces me right away. All right. Okay, so here I'm going to show you how to import another type of video, which is, as we're talking about transparency, transparent video. Okay, so basically it is exactly the same thing as the PNG, but it's a video. So my video is flat, so I'm hitting flat. So I have my little bird right here. And I go into backside color and delete the background. Okay, and then when I hit play, my bird is flying. Okay, it's flying much more fluidly on my computer. So here again, I'm just going to put a little trigger to play action, because remember, when you put a video, to be sure that it will play automatically, you need, in any case, you need the action, the play toggle action, and then you can choose to put a trigger if you want the visitor to activate the video himself. Okay, so I approach my bird, and when I tap on it, it starts moving. All right. So now I've talked to you about basic actions and animations that you can put on your elements. But of course, you can also import animated elements. That is to say, elements that that have an animation or an armature on them. Okay, so let's do that. So I'm really sorry if people here are afraid of bees. I didn't thought about it, but if someone was making a conference with a spider, I would probably faint. So I'm warning you. I'm really sorry. So I'm going to import a nice bee. Okay, which is kind of huge actually, but well, if I saw a huge spider like that, I would die. Okay, so I have my nice my nice bee right here. When I select it, I have here the animation possibility. Okay, so if you go into this, you will get to the animation menu. Come on. All right. So if your model has no animation on it, you will only have none in the list right here. But on this model, which is a model on Sketchfab, and I'm sorry, I forgot the name of the artist, but he's really doing very nice things. So in the list here, you can choose what animation you want. You can choose to make it loop, and you can preview it already in this window. So here again, I'm sorry, the animation does not render well, but it's really fluid in a normal time. So here I'm in the preview mode, and I'm seeing that my animation is playing automatically. But there again, I want I want to put some interaction in my experience. So I want the visitor to be able to trigger the animation. So I'm going to put, again, you have guessed it, a trigger. So I just select my animation again, right here on the right part of the screen. Okay. If I go back to properties, I can change the animation I chose. All right. And I can go to triggers and choose tap. And here, when I go to preview mode, you can see right here the hierarchy again. When I tap on the B, it will animate. Okay, so if I go to preview mode, come on, please go to preview mode. I approach the B, and when I tap it, it takes off. Okay. So I can also choose that one of my elements will have 2 actions on it. So I want my element to rotate by default, and I want that when the visitor clicks on my element, taps on my element, there's a website page that opens. Okay, so this is another type of action trigger that we have. It's the open URL trigger that I also use a lot because it's incredibly useful and you can use it for a lot of use cases. So I'm going to import my star model that I just use in every demo, which is a wonderful statue that you might know. Well, actually, it's a copy, but well. So I import my statue. Okay. I just click on it, go to action. Okay, and in the actions, you can see that I have some, go back. Okay, sorry, I just have to let it be for a while and catch it at the right moments. Okay, right here. Okay, so here you have a certain number of basics actions, you know, levitate, pulse, rotate, face visitor I showed you, and open URL. So here again, in the upcoming versions, we will have a lot more of actions, okay? So here I'm just going to go to rotate. Okay, so basically my statue starts rotating, and in default, I can see that by default, when the visitor opens the experience, it will rotate. And on top of this rotation element, I want a tap to open URL. So that's what I'm doing right now. I clicked on my statue. I went to action, then to open URL, and then I clicked on open URL to add a trigger. I'm going to try to show this to you again. Okay, so I'm clicking on my object. I'm going to actions, open URL. I'm choosing the URL I want. So it can be, for example, well, the website of the Château de Versailles, from whence that sculpture comes. But for the purpose of this presentation, I'll just put Google. All right. And then I add a trigger on it. Okay, and you can see right here that on the upper part, there is my tap trigger to open an URL. And on the lower part, if I scroll down, I have the rotating action. Okay, and you can see that both are independent. Okay, so basically it means that when the visitor opens the experience, the statue will automatically rotate. And when the visitor taps on the statue, it will open Google. Okay, so I'm going to fast forward just to show you that. Poof, I'm tapping. Come on. And I open Google. Okay. All right, so now I have created another scene to show you something else. As I showed you, this anchor here is what we call the simple anchor. This is technically a point in space to which all of your elements will be attached to, okay? But it also means that exactly the same way as when we create an experience, you first have to tap it somewhere to place it. Well, in the same perspective, the visitor, when reopening the experience, will have to choose where they want to put it. So in a certain number of cases, well, you don't want that. You want the experience to be fixed on something and to, happen right away. And you don't want the visitor to have to choose where he wants to put it. So we have a certain number of other types of anchor. You just have to click on your anchor and go to anchor. No, sorry, you just have to click on your anchor and go to change anchor type right here. So right now we have two types of anchor, which is the simple anchor and the image anchor, which is coming in a second. Come on, please. Don't die on me. Okay. So I have the image anchor here, which, well, self-explanatory, attaches your experience to an image. And very soon, in a couple of weeks, we will have a fantastic feature, which is the special anchor, which will allow you to attach an experience to either a virtual environment or a physical environment. All right, for example, a museum room or something like that. So for here, I'm just going to click on image anchor because, as you might have guessed, I want to attach my experience to this Mondrian painting in this book, okay, in this exhibition catalog. So I'm just clicking on image anchor, and I need to tell Minsar, I'm sorry, I went a little bit fast. I need to tell Minsar what image it has to recognize in the environment. So I'm going to go fetch my Mondrian image that I have prepared before. It asked me here the width, roughly the width of the image it has to recognize in the physical environment, which is, well, here it's a basic A4 sheet, so you have to put 21. That's what we'll do. Okay, 21. Okay, so here you can see that the anchor has transfigured itself into the image it has to find into your environment. So what you have to do right now is just move your phone and point to the real image. And here, poof, you see you've seen the green streak right here. It means that now your anchor is superimposed over the real image. So now to check this, we just are going to put a little sphere in the environment. Okay, so I'm just putting it above the book. And if I go to preview mode, if I move the book, the entire experience is following it. So again, it's really fluid on my computer. It's really following the book everywhere. So I think you can imagine that this opens to a lot of use cases. For example, if you're working on an illustration or a book for children, you can actually create a small universe per page, attached per page. Your elements of the illustration can really come out of the page with the image anchor. So that's one of the very cool use case we can do with that. So right now, I've showed you how to create an amazing experience. So yeah, basically what I showed you is really simple, and I'm glad I went with that choice, because if I had done something more complex with the flow, it would have been really hard to understand. But you can imagine that with all these minimum features I have showed you, you can already create many things, very complex things, as far as your imagination can go, actually. So now you have created an amazing experience with flamingos and, spaceships and everything you like. So, well, basically you want to share it, right? So let's see how to do that. So in this part, I'm going to teach you how to publish one experience, but also how to allow your visitor to access one experience from another experience. I'm going to show you basically Minsar Inception, which is embed one experience within another experience. You'll see it's pretty cool. So first, I'm going to create the second part, the second experience I want to access from the first one. Okay, so bear with me, you will understand as I go along. All right. so I'm fast forwarding this technically because can you still hear me? I think I have microphone problems. Can you still hear me?
We can hear you.
Yes.
Okay, cool. Okay, thank you. All right, so here, yeah, I'm going to just fast forward because I'm basically going to import other assets, and you saw how I was doing that. So I'm just going to import my flamingo again. I'm going to put a nice tap to rotate action on it. Okay, so I'm putting the rotate action on it. I'm going to add a trigger. Up, I've added my trigger. Okay, so basically my minimum experience is ready. Okay, so first we have to publish this one. Okay, so to do that, I'm going to go back into project here. Okay, and I'm going to rename because it's easier to find your project when you rename it. Okay, I'm going to rename it My Flamingo Part 2. If I can write correctly. Okay, and then don't forget to click on done. Okay, and from here I need to go back to my portal, which is where I'm going to publish the experience. Okay, so from my device, from my phone, I can access it directly. Okay, as you know, I'm opening my my phone right now. I'm going back to my browser, to my portal. I'm going back to my projects, and here is my project. Okay, so I just have to unroll this. Sorry, this experience not published yet. And here you put a name of your experience. You can also put a description, but it's not mandatory. But you should keep in mind that whatever you put in description and title, your visitors are gonna see it. Okay, so just keep that in mind. And once it's done, you hit publish right here. You have to choose the plan that you want to apply to this experience. So I'll just choose the free one. And okay, so here you can see that it says published here. Until next week, there's a little bug that forces you to actually hit publish twice to be sure that your experience will actually be published. So that's what I'm going to do right now. I hit publish again, and you can see now that it says publishing in white. Okay, so you have to wait a little for it to be published until it's green. In the meanwhile, I'll drink some water. Okay, so now it's published. So if I unroll that again, you can see that it has generated a link. All right, and if you go to display, it will also generate a QR code. So these basically are the two ways that people can access your experience. We will have much more in the upcoming versions. For example, you will be able to access an experience by scanning a picture, for example, or this sort of things. All right, because basically this is a kind of a type of URL address, so you can access it from various type of ways. Okay, so here I am just going to copy this link, all right? Because this is basically a URL link, okay? This is the URL to the second part of our experience. Then I go back to Minsar to create the first part of the experience that will point to the second part, all right? So I'm just going to create a new project. And I'm going to import a fantastic image of a flamingo. Where are you? Yeah, you're here. Come on. And I am going to delete the background because I want it to look very realistic. Okay. I am going to put a face visitor on it. Actually, I really like working with transparent PNGs, you know, because when you put, you know, different images that face the visitor, you can really create a composition in the depth that creates a really interesting experience between 2D and 3D. It's kind of poetic and it's really interesting. So I really encourage you to use it. So you can see now that I have a face me and my flamingo is following me. And most important, now I'm going to put the tap to open URL action. So here I'm going to paste the link to the second experience that we have published earlier. Okay, good. So I'm validating. And I'm going to put a tap trigger on it. Because, yeah, basically the open URL, you need a tap on it to open it. Or you need a trigger on it. Come on. All right. So now if I go to preview mode and tap on my flamingo, it will open this. So you have to click on visit. And it will take you to the store where you have to download Minsar Viewer, XR View. So right now, all the experiences made in Minsar are visible only through XR View, but in the upcoming months, you will be able to access an experience through a browser or other ways. So for my part, it's already installed, but so you have to install it and then you click on open. So now it's opening XR View. And poof, it's opening my second part. All right. Okay, so this was just the preview mode. We still have to publish our first part of the experience. So let's do that. I'm going to go back to Minsar. I'm just going to reopen the project because as you can see, it closed it. So I'm going to open project. I'm selecting the first project, which is always the last project you've been working on. And so I have my flamingo right here. I'm going to do exactly the same thing as before. I'm going to rename it. Okay, validate. Go back to my project. Sorry. Okay, I'm going back to projects. I'm going to Flamingo Part 1. Putting my title and everything. I take care to publish twice, but remember, this is a small bug that will be fixed very soon. So I'm waiting for it to be published, and it's published. So now we are going to pretend we are a visitor. Okay, so I'm going to close Minsar Studio and XR View so I can really, put myself in the visitor's shoes. So basically, I'm a visitor, and you have shared this nice link on your Twitter saying, hey, during the quarantine, I really felt like watching some pink flamingos, so don't hesitate, I'm sharing this, you will see it's very cool. So you gave me the link to see your experience. So what I'm gonna do is when I click on the link, so here I'm clicking on visit to test it, but it's basically the same thing. Again, it will ask me to visit through XR View. Okay, open, so it's exactly the same thing. So now it's opening my experience. It's opening Flamingo 1. So here you can see that as I chose the simple anchor, I have, as a visitor, I have to choose where I want to put it. But obviously, if I had chosen another type of anchor, such as the image anchor, it would have been fixed as soon as my phone would have found the image that had to be recognized. Okay, so here I'm just going to choose to put it on the table. Come on, because I'm explaining in the video at the same time. Okay, and when I tap on my flamingo, you can see that it's facing me when I move around it. When I tap on my flamingo, ta-da! It opens the second part. So basically, you can see that this has huge potential because, for example, you can imagine an entire apartment visit. For example, you are a real estate agent. Well, you can design entire apartment visits with different rooms that are linked to a main experience that you have published together. You can create, well, personally, this is a use case that I like because it's particularly linked to my PhD thesis, of course, but you can create a museum, a virtual museum with different rooms that are linked together. You can really do a lot of things with the embedded experiences within experiences. Or next week, we will have, for example, the support of 360 videos or images. So basically, you can imagine, you have a first scene where you have, spheres lying around that each represents a small universe. And with the zone trigger, when your visitor walks on one of these spheres, poof, it will be taken automatically to a whole universe with a 360 video. So it can be really awesome. All right, so I'm really thrilled myself. Okay, so I'm just going to go back to my presentation right now to conclude it. Okay. I want the conclusion, please. Oof. Okay. So I'd like to take this opportunity to tease you a little bit about the next version of Minsar, which will come next week, and which is the 1.16. So the spatial anchor here will not actually arrive next week, but slightly later. So it will allow you to attach an experience to a specific environment, as I showed you, virtual or real. We'll have the trigger zones and proximity, as I explained you. Element grouping too, for example, which will allow for an easier manipulation of the assets in your scene. Body occlusion is very interesting too, because Minsar will be able to calculate if your hand, for example, is in front of a virtual object, so it will occlude the object by your hand, so it will enable to create much more realistic scenes, and you can do very cool captures with that, which allows me to talk about photorealistic rendering, because right now in Minsar, the environment in Minsar is dark. Okay, so when you put a metallic object in there, it will be black because it has nothing to reflect. Well, in next version, our fantastic developers, that some of them are in this room, hello, have created an environment that is able to be reflected in the object. So you can actually have PBR rendering on the objects, which will enhance, again, the realistic aspect of your scenes. And of course, we will have so much more things. So I would like to thank you all for listening to this presentation. I hope it was not too tedious to follow. If you have any questions, please ask me now, or you can reach me to all of these links below. I will be much glad to accompany you using Minsar, and you can download it right now and start using it. So thank you very much. Okay, now it's party. Bravo. Yeah. Let's party. Let's party, people. Okay. Maybe there is some questions in the room though, so don't hesitate if you have some. Okay, I'm just gonna drag this up. I saw into the comments that Lois Monet is asking if the solution is not just for iOS. No, it's available on Android 2, on HoloLens, Magic Leap, and Oculus Quest. So David Mercado is asking what is the potential of XR and Minsar for interactive storytelling? Well, actually, I could do a PhD thesis on that too, because Minsar is really a tool for storytelling. It really is about making scenographies out of content. So, for example, you can create, as I showed you, you can use PNG images to create superimposed levels of decor. You can do, a theatric stage, or of course you can use 3D to do that. You can, for example, make with the occlusion that is going to come later, you can make a treasure hunt and hide something behind your sofa or something, and when the visitor finds it, it triggers something, or you can really tell a story with this kind of experiences. Visibility on when it will available on web browsers. So I think it's Q2 or Q3 2020. Edmund, if you're still here, maybe you can confirm that to me. I think it's that. I think it's between Q2 or Q3 2020. Anyway, it's this year, very soon. Any plans for support with Windows Mixed Reality? Well, we are working on it, but I'm not sure at this point. Maybe if Eric is still here, Eric, maybe you can answer that. Eric is one of our developers. So anyway, if I can't answer your question, please feel free to give me your email address and I will give you an answer as soon as I have one. Okay, no other questions? Was that so clear? That's cool. Is there any restriction on the size of a project? Not well. It depends on the plan that you have chosen. I think the free plan allows you until 1 gigabyte for your project, which is kind of huge actually, because to give you a perspective, a big video, we don't support over. Well, you should not go over 250 megabytes. And for one 3D object, you know, it's mostly under 50 megabytes, so you have a lot of margin to do that. And Edmund, here, if you can confirm what you have planned for the different restriction storage plans, I'll let you. I'll give you the word. What camera resolution do you recommend to work with this tool? Oh, that's a great question. Well, it actually takes the default resolution of your camera, I think. So mine is, for example, on my Android, it's 1570 on 7020 pixels. So it works quite well. And the more you have a good resolution on your screen, the more you will be able to have a great resolution, actually. Can you store experience in Oculus Quest with Minsar? Soon. The support on Oculus will come in the coming months, so we'll have more visibility on it at this point. But yeah, I think it's foreseen.
Hi, Maelys. Can you see what you are seeing and share it collaboratively?
Your question is that how can you work collaboratively on the same experience? Is that it?
Yeah. Yes.
Okay. Yeah. So right now, no, you cannot. But we are working on it soon. Well, I think it will be during this year. We will open to collaboration. That will mean that, for example, especially with VR, you know, this VR support is going to be great for that because, for example, you are working in Hong Kong and your colleague is working in San Francisco. Well, you can both work on the same experience, the same VR scene. And you can, for example, decide that, you know, you want to do an experience attached to a specific square in London. Well, there's a colleague that has to first scan with the spatial anchor the square in London, and then you can all work on this scene in VR. And then when visitor will open it will open this experience in London, it will recreate what you've been working on from Hong Kong, from San Francisco, and all of these things.
Great, thanks.
Yeah, so free assets to work on. So you can use Sketchfab, of course. Well, right now, to use Sketchfab, as I was saying, until next week, we have a little bug, so you can't import directly Sketchfab assets into Minsar. So right now, you just have to download them on your computer and then put them into your Dropbox or Google Drive. So on that, I have written a tutorial on the user guide, so you can go check it out. You also have, 3darchive.net. I'm going to write that. You have, so of course you have Sketchfab. You have CG Traders too. You have a certain number of platforms that do provide some assets. So this is for the 3D, but for 2D, you can, of course, access free assets from Shutterstock or this sort of things. Transparent videos, there are some free on videvo.net. I'm going to write that as well. So all these sort of things. Will the videos be streamable? That's a good question. I don't know. I think so, but I'm going to write your question down. And if you give me your email, I will answer. I will give you an answer shortly. You can give me your email in a private chat. Videos be streamable. I think I had a conversation last time with our CTO. He told me that we would support streaming actually. So I think it might be possible, but please give me your email address so I can answer you. Gersa Tomyu asked me if there are any tutorials available online. So we were on the process of creating a whole series of tutorials that I would animate on YouTube. Unfortunately, with the quarantine, we couldn't do that because we were filming in our offices. So for now, we don't have our tutorials, but we do have the user guide, and you can also book a demo with me or with Edmund. I'm just going to give you the link. Just hang on a second. You can book a moment with me anytime. Just hang on a minute. But the tutorial will come as soon as the confinement is done. But we might share some. We're working on organizing live tutorials and masterclasses on Instagram or Twitch. So keep posted about that because we might be launching masterclasses soon. Much more as this one. Just a minute. Copy link. Okay, so in the public channel, I have put a link that you can book with me, so I can, help you create your experiences or answer questions or make you another demo. Yeah, of course, we are on Instagram, on Twitter, on Facebook, and on LinkedIn. So you just have to search Get Minsar. Right? Any other questions? Thank you. So Edmond Morin right here is our sales director. Yeah, well, that's a great question, Baptiste, because it's a perfect transition. I am not I'm not a salesperson. So our perfect salesperson is Edmond Morin right here. So I'll let you have a chat with him. Edmond, if you allow your microphone, you can answer the business model and explain it if you want.
Yeah, I hope everybody can hear me. I'll do this in English as well. Maelys, you were fabulous as usual, but can you hear me properly? Can you all hear me? Brilliant, thanks. Right, so in terms of the business, brilliant. In terms of the business model, so what you've done, what Maelys has shown you, that means all the creative is completely free. You just go download the app or set it up on your device, and you can play around, create as many experiences as you like, and you can share your experience on our XR viewer, which is a free viewer up to 100 views per month. And then when it comes to the, if you want to go over that, and depending on the different special features that you have, our solution starts from €9 per month up to 300 views. And then we've got more licenses that go up to €69, €149, and then there's going to be 300 and 500 euros per month to share your experiences. And if you want any further information on pricing, everything is on our website. So it's, of course, at minsar.com, and you have all the latest pricing and the explanation regarding all the different features that are linked to the pricing. Et on peut aussi le faire en français si vous le souhaitez, évidemment. Sorry, were there any further questions? Well, I'll give it back to you, Maelys.
Je crois que nous avons perdu Maelys actuellement.
No, I'm still here.
Ah.
Non, on la perd jamais, je vous rassure, Maelys.
No, I'm always there.
No questions? Okay, Maelys, I guess it's all up to you to wrap up.
Okay, well, thank you a lot again for following this presentation, and I just stopped sharing my screen before I share things too personal. I forget that I'm sharing my screen. Thank you very much, and well, don't hesitate. I'll be around in Laval virtual following conferences, so don't hesitate, reaching out to have a chat with me or about anything. And thank you again to Laval Virtual for this fantastic work. It's so thrilling. I'm so glad to be here.